Hi, Thula. It's a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you very much.
CUTS International is organizing its flagship event on 16th and 17th of November 2021, the 7th Biennial Conference 2021. And as you are one of our esteemed speakers and someone who's had a long-term association with CUTS, I would like to ask you about what you think about the theme for this biennial and its relevance today. The theme is building blocks for an inclusive and resilient economy.
Well, I think firstly, thank you to CUTS for organizing such a conference. And I think CUTS has been very proactive in bringing out issues that others are not bringing out, especially in a time such as the one that we are going through at global level. So the theme comes in very handy at a time when most businesses are sort of struggling with the COVID situation, as well as post-COVID business growth and development opportunities that are out there. And of course, there's been some shock that has been experienced for many businesses, in particular the small businesses, as well as regulators. Regulators have also found themselves in a situation where they were caught unawares as to how they would use traditional regulatory methods to intervene in a market where there was substantial failure of all the market fundamentals. So building blocks for an inclusive and resilient economy is a theme that really comes in at a time when we need to reflect and look forward to finding methods and strategies of ensuring that our economies are sufficiently dynamic, including, of course, our regulatory frameworks, that we ought to be thinking outside the box. And so resilience is about looking for solutions that are outside the traditional ways of dealing the normal economic problems, because if we do not deal with unexpected problems, which appear to be quite frequent in the world, we would not grow our economies in the manner in which we expect them to grow. So we really have to have this inclusive approach. And when we're talking about inclusive approach, it's not the role of one regulator to really bring about that particular resilience, but it is a concerted effort that includes the civil society such as CUTS, that includes grassroots organizations representing SMEs, representing medium businesses, and of course, the big business segment themselves. It also includes both central and local government. Local government is on the ground to deal with particular issues peculiar to local government environment. And so when we're talking about inclusiveness, it's such a broader thing. And of course, it also helps us to realize that we need to cast the net wider in terms of finding solutions, as well as the consultative approach and framework that it needs to be much more enhanced in order for us to find the solutions that will benefit everybody in the country. So very timely topic.
Thank you, Thula. I agree with you, and that was really interesting to hear. And now what I would want to ask you is that since you have an extensive and practical understanding of competition law enforcement, having headed 2 African competition authorities, I would ask your thoughts on competition enforcement's approach in checking the growing market concentration in power. And do you think competition enforcement is sufficient, or does it demand a whole of government approach?
Well, thank you very much, Neil. I think when we look at the application or implementation of competition law and policy in the economy, it's not an isolated application from the rest of the developmental vision or strategy that the government may have. So competition law and policy is just a component of that strategy, a national strategy that the country would have. But of course, it plays a very, very important role in changing the dynamics of concentration, in particular through mergers and acquisitions. So the review of mergers and acquisitions, the review of investment that comes into the country even through the investment agency that is also aligned to the competition principles, would also have to work out in such a way that there is some form of collaboration. Also, as you see in other countries such as Australia, you have that collaboration within the regulatory framework where they interface and share information, including the Securities and Exchange Commission, the Competition Commission, probably the banking regulator. When they're dealing with a bank merger, they would have some form of working arrangement with the competition authority to ensure that you have a holistic approach of regulatory compliance measures in a particular market. And of course, when it comes to competition law, it plays a central role in the implementation of competition policy. And competition policy itself is not the mandate only of a competition authority or a competition commission, but it is a broad-based government policy that touches on investment, that touches on trade, touches on so that is a holistic approach is very important, and the competition authorities themselves need to be alive to the fact that they cannot be efficient in the application of compliance to competition law without taking into account other policies that they need to take into account when making decisions, in particular those related to abuse of dominance as well as mergers and acquisitions.
Thank you, Thula. That was quite insightful, and I believe that the holistic approach is the way forward for all competition authorities and governments to look forward to. This was a wonderful conversation that we had. I'm very grateful that you could take out the time to speak with us today.